All right, everybody, Scott Sylvan Bell here. You know, in the last article or post, we talked a little bit about why people say I got to think about it. Now, there's the people who really do have to think about it. They got to mull it over in their head. And yeah, for me, it's like, I have a tough time with that one. And then there's the people who are so used to saying, I got to think about it, and then having the salesperson jump in and go, oh, you got to think about it? Let's take half off your pricing, and we'll go ahead and give it away. So it's a precondition from the buyers that they're so used to salespeople just dropping their drawers and taking away price. And then there's the third group who, they took a look at what you have to offer. They may like it, but let's go back to what we talked about in the previous post. They don't want to make the wrong decision. They don't want to be seen as doing the wrong thing in the eyes of their friends or their neighbors or their cousin or their dad. So it's better for them to not make a decision and get judged than it is to find something that's actually going to help them. What I'm going to share with you is a process that I was able to figure out through some of the laws of persuasion, some of the things that I learned from Dr. Kevin Hogan. Now, if you ever get a chance, kevinhogan.com is a cool place to go. You can sign up for an e-zine and you get a couple of ebooks, and they are actually worth it. A lot of websites don't have that. Don't normally plug people here, but you check the guy out. But here's the thing. What if you could take that person and move them from not making a decision here all the way over to here where they do? I'm going to share that with you. So here's what happens. This works when you have 3 options to give to the person or the group that's buying. Okay? You have to have at least 2 or 3. So the first thing to do is say, hey, look, you know what? That's perfectly fine and normal. Somebody says, hey, Scott, I really like what you have to offer, but I'm really going to have to think about it. Okay? Now, most people at this point right here, this is where they get in trouble because their body language changes, their vocal cues change, and they went from being pretty congruent all the way over to here, and then somebody says, I got to think about it, and then all of a sudden they turn into jerk, or they turn into paranoid, or they turn into panic, and the consumer picks up on that. So this is the line to write down. So you probably want to write this down. That's perfectly fine and normal. I know you're thinking, wait a minute, that's not perfectly fine and normal, and I'm telling you, it's going to be. It's going to be okay. This works for me 54% of the time. That's right, I tested it out, 54%. So here's how this goes. You know what? That's actually perfectly fine and normal. But to really help me understand what I can do for you here today, you know, looking at these 3 options, which one don't you like? Which one doesn't make sense? So let's just say I have an option of $8,000, $12,000, and $15,000. Now, normally the person's going to look at the third option and go, you know, $15,000 is really much more than I wanted to spend. Okay, cool. In their mind, they clicked it off. They don't want it. Okay, but now I need to reinforce that. Now I need to say, okay, well, is there anything that you did like? Because if they have an answer and either one of the other 2 options that they have that answer in it, like I want a really tall widget. Well, both those other 2 options have really tall widgets, so I can go ahead and explain that back to them, but you have to be truthful. It really has to have it. Okay, so we've taken the $15,000 option off the table. Next would be the $8,000 and the $10,000. So between these 2 options, which one doesn't make sense? Well, you know, I really think the $8,000 option is cheap, and I really don't want a cheap product. Okay. That's fine. That's normal. Once again, fine and normal. Say it again. Because in your head as a salesperson, you got to remind yourself, hey, by the way, that's fine and normal. Yes, it is. Okay. So now we've taken the $15,000 option off the table. Now we've taken the $8,000 option off the table. And they're sitting there thinking in their head, okay, what's the sales guy up to? Now, we're going into the back door, like right over here of their brain, and we're just kind of sneaking through. Now, persuasion happens in the silence, is from what I hear, but that only happens when you set it up correctly. So we're going to knock and we're going to get the door to crack open. That's all I want. I don't want it to slam all the way open and freak them out. I just want it to crack open and get them curious. So now we're looking at the middle option. So, you know, you didn't like the last one, this option over here, because the widget was too tall. And you didn't like this option over here because it was too cheap. So what is it that you do like about this middle option? So over here too tall, over here too cheap, and then you got the middle option. So what is it that you like about the middle option? Oh, it's going to fit all of your needs, the widget, right amount of height, it's got a good amount of power, so you like it. Yeah, is that the one you'd be happy with? And they're going to say, yes, that's the one I'd be happy with. Now, you've done your job. Now, you can't change your body language or else this is going to get you in a lot of trouble. Say, perfect, when do you want it? Now, you would be surprised how many people will say, I don't know, as soon as I can get it. So they went all the way from over here, if I got to think about it, or as Gary May says, I got to think about it, all the way over here to, I want it. And you didn't turn into a typical salesperson. Well, if we could do it for you Friday, I'll take off half, or what is it about it that you don't like? Oh, man. Come on. When I'm not doing this, I'm buying stuff too, and I've gotten it too. What is it that you don't like about it? What is, whatever people say and throw up all over you. Sales throw up. They vomit everywhere. So that's the tip. That's the trick for the day. Okay? You got to give them 3 options. 3. You got to find out over here which one they wouldn't pick. Now, you got to let it be up to them. You can't guide them in any way. You got to let them make their own decision. What is it that you don't like about this one over here? Oh, okay. Well, out of the next 2, which one don't you like? What is it you don't like about this one over here? Okay, is there anything that you do like? Because remember, you got to bring it back and put it into the one that they want. And then finally, and the last option, all you're not asking about what they don't like. You're only asking about what they do like. Okay? Don't like, do like, don't like, do like. And then in the middle one, only things that they do like. All right? So I want to make sure that we're perfectly clear. And then keep calm. Keep going all the way through doing whatever you're doing. They pick it, and then you ask them when they want it. Right? Sounds ridiculous. 54% closing on it. And I've been watching this probably out of about 60 calls right now. 54% closing. Keep up with it. Scott Sylvan Bell. The only Scott Bell with the Sylvan in the middle. There's your sales tip for the day. Go out and sell something. Go implement.